Hello all, Ruckus here, bringing you some premium tank gameplay today, starting here at Tier 2 in the American T2 light tank. It is insanely fast, 72 km an hour top speed, one of the fastest tanks in the game, if not the fastest. But that's about all it's got going for it. It is not well armoured, 17 mils of armour at the front is as good as it gets. Although the top plate is sloped at 70 degrees, giving you an effective armor thickness of about 50 mils. The gun though is the worst thing about this thing. It is an atrociously bad gun, one of the worst I've ever played with. It is like throwing expensive handfuls of pebbles at your opposition and has about the same effect. It is a 20mm Hispano cannon with a AP pen of 30mm and APCR pen of 41mm. A full loadout of 1200 rounds is enormous, and you'll need them because it sprays them around crazy fashion. Gold, do not load gold in this thing. It is so expensive, it is hilarious. A full loadout of gold rounds purchased at credit prices of 400 per shell will cost you 480,000 credits just to load this thing completely. I fire off close to 150 shells this game, and that alone would have cost 60,000 credits. So make do with your terrible 31 mils of pen at AP, because you'll be burning money if you do otherwise. Furion's with me. He's also in a Tier 2 light, and we're up against a Tier 3 LTP and a couple of Tier 2s. It's considering bugging out of this position altogether, but we weren't being rushed, so sitting around just poking enough to get shots away. And attempting to land shots on these distant targets. You can see there, if you hold your finger on the fire button, your chances of hitting anything and doing any damage are next to nil. You've got to, from that distance, you've got to sit there, fire for clip, wait for the reticule to shrink, and then fire for another one to have any chance of landing consecutive shots. And even then, the pen's just not reliable enough to give you much. And it's only 8 damage per shell, so you have to fire off a lot of shots to do anything. LTP obviously saw me coming there. That was not wisely moved, but this Panzer 3A gives me his side, the side of his turret, and that's about the optimal distance to fire off this gun. So they all connected, did a fair amount of damage there. Probably the most damage from one clip I do this entire game. If these guys had rushed us, we would have been overwhelmed quite easily. No armor, you can't expect to bounce shots with this thing. But we're able to hold them off, do enough damage so that these inexperienced players don't want to stick out too much. Furion running low on health, has to start playing cautiously. The town side of our team has done well. We're up 4-1. I can see the T2 medium up the back there is on low health and isolated, so let's put the speed of this thing to good use to flank around those more armoured targets and get in behind this guy. Sees me coming, he does a runner and just sneaks away. Terrible gun depression on this thing. It's probably only about 5 degrees. And we've got these two guys surrounded. The PZ is still focusing me. He goes down. LTP is rushing Furion, who is a one-shot kill at this point. He's rushing about, trying to stay out of his line of fire, but down he goes. And it's just the LTP left. It is a fun tank if your idea of fun is driving around, turning your credits into noise and not doing much else. And game done. 400 damage after all that, 500 XP, 147 shots fired for 406 damage, and only half of those shots connecting, let alone penning. So not a great vehicle if you are someone who values their soft stats, like your accuracy and your damage per game. Second match, this one will be at a somewhat more subdued pace. We're in the Russian Tier 5, the Su-85-I, which popped up as a special offer not too long ago. It cost me a couple of bucks. I think it cost me less than the price of a litre of milk at IGA across the road, so I figured, why the hell not? You can never have too many tanks, right? It's quite a good vehicle, very mobile, top speed of 50 k's an hour. It's the only vehicle I've got with the equipment, additional grouses, which gives you better mobility over soft terrain. Whether it does anything noticeable, I'm not too sure, but I certainly feel the tank is mobile enough. 48 degrees of hull traverse, and an 85mm gun, which packs quite a punch. I'd say the vehicle is very equivalent to the Stug 3, which Furion is there in. AP pen and APCR pen are lower than the Stug, and the accuracy is worse, but the alpha damage is better. So just hanging tight here. No sense in exposing myself to potential enemies on that far side, but the Stug on the enemy team has popped his head out, and that gives me the opportunity to sneak out there and claim that kill. Some large targets on the hill, but the enemy is spread, so there's probably no one in the middle, I figure. So I'm going to try and rush into a better sniping position. Keeping an eye out, not spotted yet. The south side is struggling a bit. Now I'm spotted. Flat Panzer sees us, and I'm not going to hang around to trade with that guy. By the looks of it, the hill push will win. There's only a T1 left up there, so I will leave that to them and get into a better firing solution on this side, facing down into the refinery. A low roll there. Average damage of 200 on this 85mm. Should have killed that Crusader. I'll let the camo reset and use this bush to have a poke and see what's around. Flat Panzer. He's struggling with the controls down there. I looked around to see what he's firing at, but looks like it was a misfire. Few rounds doing well. He hasn't taken any damage yet. Down goes the heads up and our M6. So we're ahead, and the Jagdpanzer 4 here is struggling. We should have this game in the bag. There's the not great gun depression, which is standard on most Russian vehicles, costing me that kill. It's a good moneymaker, this tank. I tend to average 30 to 40,000 credits for a win, which is good for Tier 5. Certainly no IS6, but performs well enough to make it worthwhile playing. Few rounds going full ham on that VK. Takes a few shots, but we have enough firepower to deal with him. And now there is just a Crusader left. At this point I figured he might have been doing a runner, maybe up the top there of the hill, so no sense in everyone going in the same direction. But there he is. And that gives Furion his second. $1,300 damage, 1,100 for Furion. 7 from 8 shots fired and 40k. And now on to the last game, an IS-6 match. IS-6, I've had it for a couple of months now. It's not my favourite vehicle, even though it gets that preferential matchmaker, which makes it very profitable generally. It's just that pen on the gun is so bad. 175 mils of AP pen and 217 mils of APCR. It's excellent DPM, but that pen is just so unreliable that I find it a very frustrating tank to play. For a full review of the vehicle, I will link my review at the end of this video. This is quite an old game, but it's a good matchup for the IS-6 Tier 8 match. You'll generally get these 50% of the time, if not more. And no massive guns on the enemy team. 30 obviously has a great gun, but not huge alpha. And the T-34 also, it has a gun that packs quite a punch, so they're to watch out for. But these lower targets, the Comet certainly, the Pershing, will struggle to get through my vehicle. Now I get into a game of pokey pokey shooty shooty with this Panther, who seems to want to trade instead of using the mobility of his vehicle to maybe flank around or look for a better spot. He's still poking the corner, and that was unlucky to clip the rock. He wants to trade, but it's not a wise move. Armor holds up, and that should have been a shot. It should have connected, but poorly aimed. Glances off the top plate. Double tap, finishes him off. T-34 is coming up, but he donks his shot into the ground, and it has a terrible reload. So I attempt to come out and get one away, but it's good enough that as I sneak back, he lands that shot. Now the enemy has flanked around. Got a Pershing left on the hill. 30's behind us. Got to keep that rock to my right between him and myself. And now we've got another medium who would rather trade damage or attempt to trade damage rather than move off and do something more productive, which is fine in my books. I'm going to leave that to the T-29 who's moved up behind me, and now look for a target with more HP for me to take off. And that should not have connected. Barely any aim time through the top plate of that T-29. Very lucky shot. 30 takes a bit of damage. He's backing away. Swap to HE. Pop. Back to AP. Try and get one more away at this T-29. Again, very marginal shot. And 4 times out of 5 that shot would not have done any damage, but very lucky end of the game. $4k XP for a ×2 and steel war medal. 4k damage, 3 kills, 12 penetrating shots from 15 and 102,000 credits. And so concludes another episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace!